Hey, family, welcome to the Hub. I'm so excited. I have one of my clubhouse friends here today, Jamal Vallair, all the way from San Diego, California. Now, y'all, he's a neuroscience performance coach. Welcome to the show, Jamal. What's up, brother?
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you in front of your tribe.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So, y'all, Jamal, I had to have you because I realized that we don't spend enough time thinking about our brains. Okay, your neuroscience, like what, like taking the time to understand how your subconscious affects your day to day beat, like all day, every day, right? And what mindset you need to have in order to really have the life that you want to live. So I'm excited for all the things that we need to get into, and y'all better get his social media, follow him, patronize his business, all that good stuff. Okay, but we're gonna get into it. But I'm nosy first. We got to sip the tea, honey. So tell me a little bit about your love story.
So I met my wife 11 years ago, and we met online. Ironically enough, just perusing through. I was like, "Oh, she's cute, she's cute, she's cute," and then I realized, "Oh, we have some things in common." And so it started off with just simple posts. I was, Mr. Motivation, inspirational, and she'd be the person who'd be like, "Oh, I like that. Oh, I like that." And I was like, the best way to get to a man is stroke his ego a little bit, right? Let
Right.
him know that what he's putting out, you're picking up.
Yes.
And so over a period of time, I realized that we had more things in common. I actually asked her out on a date, and we almost never dated because I'm really big on time. So she had to cancel the first date, and then the second one she was really really late, and she didn't message me or text me or anything like that. And that day, I was fully dressed, and she finally was like an hour and a half late, and then she finally says, "Oh, I'm on my way," and I said, "Don't worry, we're going to cancel it. We're not going to do it today." And so nobody in her life has ever done that to her. And she was like, "You have no idea." And she was going, and I said, "Absolutely not."
You
And
better
so
state
that
that boundary.
look, look, I was literally in my house fully dressed, and I was like, she's like, "I'm on my way." I said, "Don't even waste your time." And I opened the door. And for the third day, guess who was 15 minutes early? I'm just
Oh,
saying, my
wait
wife.
a second. Wait. Now, Jamal, how did she get to the first date, the third date, when you said, "Ma'am, I'm gonna just need you to sit down"? Like what?
Look, I had a three-strike rule, and so she missed
Oh.
it with the first one when she canceled. I said, "Okay, things happen, life happens." The second one, I was like, "I'm really big on my time. I'm not
Mm.
going to waste yours, and you disvalue mine." So even though she didn't, all she did is, "Hey, I'm running behind. Send me a text." She didn't send a text. Now, so since I said you had no problem wasting an hour and a half of my time without letting me know. This is not going to be how we start. And so I said I said, "Well, reschedule for another day." And we rescheduled. She was like 15 minutes early for the next day. And I
Wow.
was like, it wasn't about ego. It was just about respecting time.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to invest my time to make sure we go out and have a good time. And long story short, so we realized we hit it off after the first date. And I was like, you know what, we can continue. And then I'm military as well. So I've been in military for 17 years.
Wow.
I got stationed in Japan. We met in Jacksonville. I got stationed in Japan for 2 years. We kept on, connecting, and you were like, you know what? When I came back, I said, this might be my wife. Because if you can handle, in the military, 6 months of deployment, and I'm gone for 2 years, and
Yeah.
you still have that chemistry and connection, I said this might be the quality type of person that I want to invest my life with. And so we got engaged in Las Vegas at the Eiffel Tower, and we've been married for 5 years now.
Oh my goodness. I'm like the three-strike rule. I'm loving all this. So y'all heard it, right? This man found his wife online. Hmm. All right. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. So tell me, I know self-image is really big for women, right? And I know for me, even though, I get many compliments when I step out of my house, there's still areas that I'm like, about, right? And we all have those things that we kind of beat ourselves up about, whether it's the poop or or the chin hair or
Mhm.
flabby arms, whatever it might be. We feel a little bit less than, especially when we see couples walking through the streets and we're like, man, like what is wrong with me, right? There's often that question of, well,
Mhm.
is something broken, is something wrong with me? And that's not a good place to live in. So can you talk to me, Jamal, about self image?
So self-image is a concept, especially in our polarized social media society, where
Hmm.
we only give commercial breaks of the best parts of our lives. You'll see a picture of a couple together, but you don't know they just had an argument 30 minutes earlier about, not picking up the clothes or being late or, spending too much money out of the account, whatever the case may be.
Ooh.
But when it comes to self-image, there is what we there's a quote that says, "Our words say who we want to be, but our actions reveal who we are."
Mm.
And so there is this constant
Wait, wait,
challenge
wait, wait, wait. Say that one more time, please, Jamal.
with our words define who we want to be, but our actions reveal who we are in the present.
Yes.
And I
Mhm.
think there is a constant challenge because you have who you are identity of who you want to become, and then you have who the world and society, who family and friends and your coworkers, all these people have placed these expectations on you of who
Yeah.
you need to be worthy of their time, their energy, their love, their validation, and their appreciation. And so there's a constant challenge, not only just with yourself, but also with everybody who comes around you, who interacts with you. And so the brain is designed to do two things. The brain is not designed to make you happy. It's designed to make you safe. It's not designed to be you're unmuted. It's not designed to make you happy. So if you're hoping that your brain is going to be able to find a way, where's my fulfillment? Where's my happiness? Where's my purpose? The brain's not looking for that. The
Mm.
brain is broken into two different, which is your conscious mind as well as your subconscious mind. Now, your subconscious mind, most people think, if you ask this percentage, you're like, what percentage of who you are do you think is your subconscious mind? And I get numbers like 10, 15, 20, 50, even 75. I'd like to tell you that your subconscious mind is built up of 95% of who you are.
95%.
95%. And I'm going to tell you what that culminates of. And the other 5% is your conscious mind. That's based on your five senses. Your five senses.
95%
Yes.
subconscious. Underneath that
Subconscious.
iceberg picture, the little tip, and then that
Yes.
huge iceberg thing, 95% is underneath.
Mm-hmm. And a good example is when you show up with your "I'm okay" face,
Mm.
but you have everything else going on. The bills, kids, responsibilities, spouse, fitness, all these different things, health. You just show up and say, "I'm okay." That's you show up with the 5%. I'm okay, but the other 95% has all these different things that you have to manage, you have to take
Yes.
care of, and you have to show up for. And so, how many times do we show up with a mask with "I'm okay," and you're really not?
Mm.
And you're hoping that someone else could be able to ask you a deeper question: Are you really okay? What's
Mm.
really going on? So that 5% is based on our conscious mind. So, for example, if you were driving your car for your very first job, you're really conscious and aware of, hey, I need to make sure I don't miss my turn, and paying attention to GPS. And then after about 6 months of driving to your job, you're on your phone, you're paying, I'm already at work.
Yeah.
What happened? Your
Yeah.
subconscious mind took over habits and patterns to be able
Mm.
to say, how do we get to this destination? So even in relationships, sometimes there are things that we do out of just our subconscious programming. So let me tell you where this subconscious, other 95% of this subconscious program comes from. So our brain develops from ages 0 to 4, from 4 to 12, from 12 to 18, and then our prefrontal cortex, which is our executive part of our brain, our most advanced part of our brain, it's supposed to fully develop at age 25. So if you had been raised in a place of scarcity, if you've been raised in a survival mode, if you've been raised under the understanding of a fixed mindset, when I say scarcity, I mean that there's an obsession with not enough time, not enough money.
Mm.
When I say
Not enough
survival,
time.
not enough time, not enough money.
Right.
Then I would go into the second one would be, and these are lower level vibrations of understanding, but this is how many of us, not everybody was brought on the other side of the train track.
Right.
And so these usually dip away into the I'm not enough, I'm
Mm.
not worthy, right? It clicks into those particular deep seated, because when you think of, as a 4-year-old or as a 12-year-old, you're not really consciously aware of all of the elements that you're making these decisions. So many times we're only equipped to make decisions based on our levels of consciousness and understanding. And so many times, if you're raised with the mindset of a fixed mindset, a scarcity mindset, or a survival mindset, you see more negative than positive, right? You're not able to see the possibilities on the other end of that. And so, if you were raised to seeing certain relationships as being hard, being painful, being abusive, that is no longer for other people that looks like dysfunction. For you, that looks like it's normal. And so sometimes we have to be able to upgrade our belief system, because if we never go back and update that belief system or finish the story loop, then that becomes the underlining story. You say, oh, I want to be loved, but love is hard, right? I want to be in a healthy relationship, but I don't know any healthy relationships, right? There's that underlining story that's going on that usually, and the brain is like I said, the brain is looking for evidence of whatever you say you're looking for.
Right.
So it's going to go back into the mind and say, okay, where else do we know of this being successful? Right. And so if you'll start to talk yourself out of situations simply because you said, I want to do something different. Whenever you say, I want to do something different, I want more than what I have, the brain is going to be like, okay, you're enemy number one, because the brain is designed to be safe. It's designed to be comfortable. He's like, I want to be married, but I love being single. I like to be able to do things the way I want. Okay, there's going to have to be some level of growth where you say, I'm willing to be able to sacrifice a little bit, not sacrifice my identity, but I'm willing to be able to know that it's going to cost me my comfort zone in order for me to grow.
That's
And so when you understand that my subconscious programming may be from limiting beliefs that I've had throughout my childhood, even with money, money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work twice as hard to be just as good, right? All these different things. They're all digging. Their marketing is $1 billion industry to prove that you're not enough.
mm,
So you have to buy more products. Whether it be more makeup, you have to wear certain color clothes. You have to have a certain amount of money in the bank account to be considered worthy of being respected, valued, and seen.
mm,
And so if those are the different things, if you didn't have a lot when you were coming up, you need to prove to yourself that by having the degrees and the job, that makes you it may make you good in business, but it may not make you good in relationships.
right.
If you're always in charge, do you know how to be able to share power? Right? And when it comes to relationships, it's PMS. It's the power. It's power. It's also sex, and it's being able to understand how can I measure relationships? How can I measure results? And so if you can't share power, then there's always going to be a power struggle, right? Are you going to measure growth? How do I measure growth? Okay, I would have responded this way, but I choose to do something different because I didn't get the same result that I wanted before, right? And then sex is always a power struggle, right? The ability to be able to give and not be available, the release, the connection, the intimacy, right? That those are the three areas that usually confine most relationships. The ability to be able to balance those three areas. How do I measure growth? How do I measure success? So it's important that we understand that some of who you are may be subconscious programming that's just outdated. You may not really realize that those belief systems are still there until trauma or situation or pain shows up. And then you go back because our brain is going to respond to our last level of training. So if you
Mm,
never trained your body to be able to say, when I'm angry, I'm not going to lash out. I'm not going to scream. I'm not going to overwhelm myself. I'm going to take a couple of breaths. I'm going to step away from the situation and come back. Right.
yeah.
Or when I'm angry, I feel like I have no voice. And so I feel I need to be able to lash out in a certain way to feel like I'm powerful, like to feel like I'm. So there's different triggers. When you know your triggers, you have control of what you want and what you get to see. Because
That's
most people, when look,
reprogramming, Jamal. Like this is
reprogramming the mind, because neuroplasticity is saying that the brain has the ability to change based on your decisions, your experiences, and what you have created a bigger vision for yourself.
mm,
So when you create a bigger vision for yourself, then your brain is looking for that. Your brain is a supercomputer. So you think about Google. I talk about when the brain. When you go to Google and you type in a search, And then you look in that left-hand corner, there's some numbers there. It shows like it showed up your results in 5 seconds, 3 seconds, whatever the case may be. Your thoughts go from one thought at 100,000 miles per hour. You have an average of 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. How do you identify which ones are more important or valuable than the other? You write them down. Whatever you focus on, that's what you give power to. Where energy goes, focus. Wherever focus goes, energy goes. So when your brain is wired to be able to respond, because there's a couple other things that the brain's designed to do. So number one, it's designed to make you safe. It's designed to be able to conserve energy. So that's why you'll be able to listen to one thing and you'll not fully take it in because your brain is always in something else. Right. Even now, as people on the podcast, like, I got to worry about my kids, I got to worry about the dishes, I got to worry about what I'm cooking, but I want to listen to what's being going on because something has piqued my interest. Right. And so if you understand those things, the brain takes up 20% of the energy of your body. So that is why it constantly is like information bias. Hey, I already know that. I already know that. And so when you don't slow down and operate from a place of mindfulness, it allows you to be able to say, this is the thought we're going to focus on. So meditation is really good. Being able to have quiet time. I call it sacred space, where you're able to have sacred space, where you're able to have fun with your thoughts and be able to say, you know what, this is how I feel, but this is not who I am. When you're able to get clarity. When most people don't have clarity, I tell people all the time, vague goals turn into vague results. And so if you say you want something, you have to be intentional about it. Write it out. Because when you write it out, you're able to give your brain a clear blueprint of what you're trying to achieve. Because you're going to still have another 60,000 thoughts tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the brain in its perfection but imperfection, it will always see the negative before it sees the positive. You have what is called the amygdala, which is operates from your fight or flight, right? So it identifies, is this a threat?
Right.
Is this a threat? And so in its analysis paralysis, oftentimes the brain will always see something as a negative before it sees it as a positive. Can I tell you that over 80% of your thoughts, the 60,000 that you have in a day, are usually negative? They're usually negative because it makes money, but also because if you don't introduce a positive way of thinking, belief, or cast a vision bigger than yourself, you will always shrink to it. And so, what are some of the ways that I always challenge my clients and people to be able to challenge that 80% of negativity?
Yes. Tell us, Jamal.
So there are 4 categories that I make sure that I'm listening to or engaging in a day. Number one is something that's inspirational, something that's going to allow you to see the picture outside of the frame of what's possible. Number 2 is something that's going to be educational, something that's going to give you update a skill set or a knowledge base that you just didn't know before. Right. The next one is going to be motivational. What is something that's going to be motivational that's going to be able to push me out of my bad days into better days, or be able to say, oh, this is temporary, this is not permanent. This is a chapter of my life. This is not the entire story. Right. Who is your favorite people that inspire and motivate you? Because what I've learned is some of the people that inspire us the most are just commercial breaks of who we have the potential to become. Mm. There's a reason why you're drawn to some of these people, whether they're our heroes or our super people or the people that we look up to are only commercial breaks of who we have the potential to become. So if you have this fascination with Oprah, there's something about her ability to be a communicator, ability to inspire people, to be able to connect with people, to be able to transform people's paradigms of thoughts and beliefs that is not just based on your zip code or your state, but it's worldwide. Right? If it comes to someone that says, I need Coach Cass inspires me, it's because she's able to help me figure out where I'm stuck at and where I can grow from, and be able to connect me to a relationship that I've always dreamed, but I didn't think I was really worthy of, that I didn't think I could actually accomplish. Because I told myself too many stories about I don't make enough money or make too much money, or I was told that no man is really going to love me authentically just for me. Right, where I didn't learn what I was enough. So if you, like I said, someone's looking up to Coach Cass and said, I want to be like her. Not that you don't see your own self-image, but there's something that you see in someone else that you haven't achieved yet that inspires you, right? And then the last one is something that's transformational, where they be getting into a course, where they be getting to a training, going to a conference. There should be something that you're listening to, that you're engaging with, that's transformational. And it's even being a part of your program, doing the work. because many times we get these highs of emotion and we don't go home and do the work. But I feel good. That was motivational. I got goosebumps, the hair on the back of my neck, and then we don't change. And then we wonder why we're looking at the same results for the last 2 to 5, 10 years, and we're like, where did I miss it? So those are the four things that I recommend that people, for an hour a day, make sure that you listen to one of those four categories. What does
Oh,
that do?
I thought you were saying that I need to do all four, 1 hour each. I was like, four
No,
hours.
no, because I understand. Look, you got bills, you got kids, you got jobs, you got responsibility. I challenge people for one, because the brain also looks for spontaneity, right? If you do the same thing over and over again, that same person that inspires you every day, like, all right, I'm getting tired of this person. All right, you got to tell me something different. So that's why I said give you four categories, because those four categories, it's just 1 hour a day where you're able to just listen to something, where you're able to download new information of your possibility, right? That's something that's going to motivate you to say, real love really does exist. I know there's a lot of crazy people out here, and I know we keep on living vicariously through celebrities. Let me tell you, if money could fix all things, there would be no divorces in multimillionaires and celebrities. We wouldn't be going through all this drama. It's about being able, what are the intangibles of a healthy relationship? Because what is always posterized is not always healthy. So leave that one. I'll leave that alone. But
all of this.
so when it comes down to the brain, I'll give you these five things. Create a vision for yourself, right? Create a vision. It doesn't have to be perfect. Please let go of your perfectionism, because it's not real. But have a healthy vision of yourself, right? Number two, identify what your limiting beliefs that's holding you back, right? Because when you can't tell where you are at the map or trying to get to a destination, unless you know this is where I'm at. When you can pull up your GPS and you say, where am I? It's going to say, you are here. This is the limiting belief that might be holding you back, right? That I can't have what I really want, so I'll settle for whatever is convenient. I'll settle for what's familiar. And so if the dysfunctional relationships are familiar, well, I don't mind it because I know this. Or when you end up getting that man or that woman that you prayed for, and because it's so different from what you had in your past, you find a way to self-sabotage it. Say, hey, that's me. I find a way to self-sabotage my relationships because this is foreign. I don't know if I can do this. Or, that imposter syndrome. Well, maybe I got a good person, but they don't really like me for me. So I'm going to find ways to make sure I can self-sabotage it so I can prove that they're just like all the other people that I dated.
Right.
And then I get back. So the brain is fine with familiar. The brain is fine with that because it knows that level of this, it knows how to manage that. It's when you try to say, I want something new, I want something different. That's when he says, okay, well, how are we going to do it? So number three is replace those negative limiting beliefs with new ones. So whatever your story is, because we are a product of the stories that we tell ourselves and the habits that we reproduce, right? So what's the story that you're telling yourself? That it's hard to find a good man, or there's not enough men around. What if we frame that? Because your words become the framework for what you see. So if we just reframe these words, it's called neuro-linguistic programming, where we identify that our words have power. Death and life is in the power of the tongue, but also what you create is in the power of the tongue. And so we are the quality, what we see is based on the quality of the words that we say. And that all starts with the thought, the belief, the self-image, right? And so if we were to say, there are many great men, my responsibility is to become the woman that attracts the person that's designed for me. Sometimes we get overwhelmed with trying to make sure that we're attractive to everybody. And that's a lot of work. What if we just focused on, God, make me the woman or the man that I need to be for the right one that you've designed for me? Because the areas where I feel inadequate, that person should be able to have some level of support, or God will have to make the difference. But if you're trying to be focused on being attractive to every single man, most men. If you ask most men what is manhood, you're going to get 10 different answers. If you ask most women what is manhood, you're going to get 20 different answers, right? Because you're going to get people are all not raised the same. There's the principles that are identified with masculinity and femininity, but we're not all the same. And so if your goal is to make sure that you connect with the right one for you, then I want to identify what are some beliefs that I brought to this relationship that are not healthy. I need someone to handle me. No, you need someone who can support you. the idea that that we are in competition. No, I'm looking for someone that's going to complement my vision, my mission, and my purpose. Right? If you start to reframe the limiting beliefs, all men cheat.
Yeah.
Right? So you're already going into the relationship looking for his flaws. And what I've learned about just people and just life in general, most people are a lawyer for their flaws, but a judge, a jury, and execution for someone else's.
Hmm.
We have all the justification and excuses for our flaws and our limitations. And well, I may not be this, but I make good money. Okay. Or I may not be this, but I don't know how to speak to people or be polite or be grateful, but I know how I have the degree. Okay, where sometimes it's not always about what you need, it's also how do you complement what you think you deserve. Because if you're able to look and say, okay, what is a potentially quality man? And I say that, in the midst of all the different things. Not even gonna say high value, I'm just saying a quality person, right? Just a quality person, because we have that subjective and ambiguity around it. Just a
Right.
quality person. What does that person potentially need from me? What love language do I struggle the hardest to give
Mm.
that my partner might need? I know. You're like, what do you mean? You talk about the 5 love languages. Because we give the love language that's most convenient or
Right.
comfortable or that we have adopted. We didn't get the love language we were supposed to get probably from our parents. So we have adopted a language because that's the only one we could get. But
Mm.
that's not the one that needs that gives us the fulfillment, right? And I know you already touched on the 5 love languages. That's why I wanted to kind of tap that in there because sometimes
Right.
we feel we put our list and say this is what makes me great, but also we know we'll say, well, my list justifies where I'm also needing to grow. So the other thing is, after I said upgrade your beliefs and replace it, what is the new skill set, mindset, or heart set do I need to change in order for me to be able to get the results that I'm looking for? So if it's a skill set, that's something you can build, right? If it's a heart set, where do I need to heal, whether it be through therapy, through counseling? Where do I need to heal from the trauma? Because I know in Black communities, we don't say the word trauma. It's like, ooh, you didn't go through nothing, right? You just had to deal with life like everybody else. But where do you go and be able to say, where do I need to go heal so that I don't bleed on the person that I love the most or who's
Mm.
supposed to be designed for me because I didn't go through my process of transformation. And I know, we're all working on ourselves.
Right.
But how are you measuring those results? Who's holding you accountable to what you say you're going to do? That's because I know there's this belief about the brain that it takes 21 days to create a new habit. But not, you hear that every New Year's. By
All the time.
January 21st, you're supposed to be in the best fit of your life. You're supposed to be a millionaire. You're supposed to have the man of your dreams. January 21st, and statistically, in the first 90 days, 70% of people give up on their goals.
Dang.
Just throw them
70.
out. 70% in the first 90 days. Why do you think that is? It's because number one, their vision of themselves is usually too small.
Mm.
Number two, they have zero accountability. Number three, they have no support. And when I tell people, when your why is big enough, the how will find a way. Many times we have a lot of superficial whys and we want to do it. And so we have nobody to support us and hold us accountable. And so when you find the why, yes, you want to lose 15 pounds, but what's the real why behind it? So I can learn to be able to love all of who I am and appreciate the body that I've been given, but also so I can be excited when I'm naked, right? You want to have a bigger why than just, I want to lose 15 pounds, right? I love my body the way it is, but I know my health is very, very important. And losing 15 pounds makes me more healthier, makes me more energetic. I'm available to be more there for my kids, for my husband, for my spouse, but also be able to fully tap into my life's purpose with energy and power versus I got to take a whole bunch of pills or I can't really show up for those moments that I really want to show up for. That's a different why, isn't it? I just want to lose 15 pounds versus I've been given a certain amount of time on this earth and I want to make sure I maximize it. So my health is important. So I have to eat differently. I have to exercise differently. I want to make sure that when I'm spending time with my kids, that they get all of my energy and my time versus whatever I can give to them after I've finished working my 9 to 5 or business, and I have to give them whatever is left of me. It's a different conversation.
Yeah.
And so that's why. And so that was number 4. Number 5 is just create a strategy. What is your action plan? The brain, when it comes to uncertainty, when you don't have an action plan, It just puts them, it's like a plane that doesn't get a chance, an opportunity to get its permission to land. What is your strategy? How are we going to do it? And it doesn't have to be verbose. It can say, what are my smallest steps towards reaching this goal? So what are the small steps that I can take as far as being able to create more healthy relationships? I can get counseling. I can get, I can find out, I can go through my story and realize, is my story empowering or disempowering? Because you get to choose that, right?
Yeah.
I get to choose what my life gets to be. We all have free will. And even though there's parts of your life where you didn't feel like you were in control, or you were able to, be able to control the outcome of your life as an adult, now you get to choose how you get to look at your story, and you get to challenge your story. You get to recognize that you were the author of it. You get to realize from accountability, not blame, because one of the biggest things is when a lot of people look through their story, they look at it from the place of judgment versus grace. Give yourself some grace. Stop punishing yourself. That's not fair. Stop comparing yourself. Your story, your journey is completely unique, just as your fingertips are. You can have twins and you won't have the same DNA. You won't have the exact same fingertips. So if your purpose and your destiny was designed to be just as unique, your journey is going to be different. Honor your story, honor your journey, but don't be so drunk on the destination that you missed out on the steps that you were supposed to learn on how you got there.
Wow.
Because someone's going to ask you, how'd you do it? And I always tell people there is no elevator to success in relationships either. You have to take the stairs because your steps are ordered by God. So hopefully those were some helpful tips to help you understand. Number one, create a vision for yourself. Identify your limiting beliefs. Number three is replace those limiting and negative beliefs with more empowering ones. Reframing your story, reframing how you speak to yourself, even with affirmations. Being able to identify how you want to see yourself, how you want to connect with yourself. And then create a strategy. What are the steps, whether it be, do I need accountability? Do I need a coach? Do I need a group, a community? What is the strategy toward getting the results that I say I want? And understanding that you have been born enough. You have just been taught by society, friends, and family that you're not enough. But your greatness is a birthright. Abundance is a birthright. So identify those three lower level limiting mindsets, right? Identified number one, scarcity, survival, and a fixed mindset. Fixed mindset, regardless, whatever I do will always be the same result, right? But there's a higher level of consciousness that you can operate from. And these three are a growth mindset, that the more time and energy that I give to something, I will become better. I will learn more skills. I will bring more money in because you're giving your time and energy to something that's bigger and better than you, that allows you to grow, right? The next one is being passionately curious. Why do I say passionately curious? Because the brain has what is called as a flow state, is where everything operates, where the conscious mind, that 5% and that 95%, usually they're connected when you sleep. But there are different times throughout your day where you go into a flow state where you find all answers, where you're so super focused. You hear it in sports where you say, Michael Jordan, where he can't miss, or you see in tennis where Serena Williams is just constantly, regardless of what she does, she just keeps on serving. Regardless, it's a flow state. Everybody has flow states, but we don't tap into them. It's kind of like if you're reading a book and say, I'm going to read this for 15, 20 minutes, and you're like, 2 hours have gone by. It's where your brain has gone into a super focus mode, where it's called a drug of dopamine and norepinephrine. And dopamine and norepinephrine allows you to be able to break that barrier of the subconscious mind, where it's being very analytical, and allows you to be able to operate in the spatial matter, where you're able to take up patterns that you normally wouldn't be able to get in your conscious mind. And so passionately curious, just allows that fun, playful, passionately curious side allows you to go into that flow state. When I nerded out for a little bit, you have to forgive me. And then the last one is abundance. Abundance is there's more than enough. Where there's more than enough men, there's more than enough people in happy relationships, there's more than enough money to be made. There's more than enough. It's a 360 paradigm of your life, emotionally, spiritually, financially, relationships, work. It's a full 360. I'm gonna be dramatic and just give you a full 360. Right? that abundance is this golden brain that says that there's nothing that I can't have. I get to create my own reality. I create money. I don't work for money. I create healthy relationships because that is part of who I am. When you start to affirm who you are, your brain will look for evidence or create evidence that it's true. What
Mm.
if you knew that the world and the universe was conspiring for you to win versus the world being against you?
Game changer.
Right? Ask yourself, where did I learn? Where did and I not? This is my reframe. Where did I adopt this belief?
Mm.
Because you weren't born with it. You adopted it because there was a situation that happened. You may have identified it from your trauma, so you're operating from a place of survival. I just need to get to the next checkpoint. I'm just glad I survived it. So would you rather thrive or survive?
Thrive, baby.
Look, it's gonna take it takes some tough conversations, but it also takes some I want more. Sometimes people show up differently. Truthfully, we always show up differently or better for someone else. When it comes time to showing up for ourselves, that's where we shrink. If I got to show up for my kids, I'm about to put this Superman on my chest. I don't care what I have to go through. Got to show up for my spouse, right? When you say, how about, what if we show up for your dream? Oh, I'll get back to that. I got time. That's something I can put in the back burner. But what if you gave yourself 999 chances to fail
Mm.
without judgment and the permission to hit the reset button to start all over again at one? Many times we have this idea of failure. Even in relationships, one of my favorite coaches, Lisa Nichols, tells me, she says, what if that relationship is just complete? It doesn't have to be, oh, what this person, everybody and their mom is a social worker. Everybody knows what a narcissist is. They can't see the
Right.
narcissism in themselves, but they know that is a trigger word. Everybody that they dated was a narcissist. And I'm like, who's the common
Right.
denominator? Because you had a consciousness to be able to pick each and every single one of them. And sometimes we connect people spirit to spirit, or we attract people who have a predatory nature because they understand you have to protect your spirit. Because if it's not whole, it'll attract other people. It's called trauma bonding. People who connect based on trauma. Y'all both grew up in a dysfunctional relationship, and so you guys doing dysfunction together. Y'all done pass it on to your kids, and so when you see the idea of healthy, it scares you a little bit because that's foreign to you, and the brain's like, we don't know that. And so when you get into these new relationships, sometimes it's good to be able to say, hey, this is new for me. I don't I know on my image, my Instagram is popping and then, my website, but there's some new things about healthy relationships I'm starting to learn. I'm going to need some grace. You're both going to need some grace. And when both parties are able to give some grace to each other's growth and their flaws and some of their traumas and things that they're trying to work through, I think people are able to be more successful because I'm no longer the judge, jury, executioner for your flaws. I'm a lawyer for saying this is how we can make this work.
Ooh. I love all of this, Jamal. Oh my goodness. I have never been so quiet in a podcast in my life. This was just good. And I didn't want to be distracting, over here, like taking all the notes. So I'll be listening to the replay over and over and over and over
Mm-hmm.
again. So just thank you. Thank you. Like
It's
this
my
is
pleasure, my honor.
yeah, I think you hit on some amazing points that have me thinking, right? Because time, you always hear about money, but I never really thought about time,
Mm-hmm.
and how that could be a limiting belief. So how does that show up in terms of limiting beliefs, especially passing it down to children? My daughter's 4. So how does that work in terms of playing out the wrong way in terms of time?
The most you could ever do. I have a 3-year-old, and my Ayana. Whew, if you're ever going to be humbled about who you think you are in life, have a child.
Oh goodness.
Because that is one of what I've learned. Because there were some limiting beliefs as a child that a child is supposed to be seen and not heard. Right. So now that child is now an adult and they have an opportunity to speak. And what do you think is going to trigger them? That I'm supposed to be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
That my value is to look a certain way, but there's no value in my voice. There's no value in my opinion. Right. And I know old school, you were raised certain ways based on certain things. And so the most powerful thing you can do is give somebody your presence, your undivided attention. I know I'm guilty because I'm on my phone. I'm always on social media. And like I said, but one of the most powerful things that you can give someone is your time. And so they said, wherever your values and your treasure is, that's where your heart is also. So I ask people, where do you spend your time? If you say that you don't have enough time, that means there's something else that's more valuable and more important. Now, we're not consciously saying that, but there is some truth to that. And there's a difference between truth and facts. It's facts based on time, information, and a mindset. The truth will always remain the same regardless of time. And so when you say, I love this person or I value this person, show me where you're spending quality time. Because we often don't think that our presence is valuable because we trade our time for money. You know, you get $50 an hour, $150 an hour. That's a lot of money compared to what? That's an hour of your life that you can never get back. Even being on this podcast, this is 30 minutes of your time that you can never get back. How much? When's the last time you spent 30 minutes being with the people that you care and love the most, who are your inspiration, that's your motivation? And so sometimes we use time to say, I don't have enough time. The pandemic proved we have more than enough time,
Right.
right? If I had more time, I'd write that book. I'd start doing this. I'd start doing that. And then what do? We wasted a lot of time in 2020 simply because there was no demand on us to do different things outside of our comfort zone.
Right.
And so the story that we tell ourselves around time is usually what is a should and what is a must. The things that we should do, we never really do. We blame ourselves, we judge ourselves. I should be doing this. But the things that we must do, we find a way. You're either interested or you're committed. And when you're interested, it's going to be a should. When you're committed, it's something I must do. And you plan accordingly.
All right. So Jamal, how can they find you on social media? Where should they follow, good sir?
They can find me on Instagram at Coach Jamal underscore Vallair, and my name is in there. And then you can, contact me on my website. It's just Coach. It's at JamalVallair.com. I'm on all social media. Just type in Coach Jamal Vallair, and I'll pull up on Google and all that type of things. Like I said, I love what I do. This is my passion. What I love most about neuroscience is the idea that if I take all the labels that we have adopted, and I tell you this is how the brain works, and this is how you feed it, this is how you train it, it will work for you. You're able to see all of the opportunities hidden within your obstacles. You're able to see more. You're able to operate from a place of abundance, passionately curious, or a growth mindset simply because you have taken the labels and your favorite excuses on why you can't. You're born to be extraordinary. You're born to be exceptional. And I know we have adopted some things, some limiting beliefs, and some stories that no longer serve us. You get to write your own story. And I say, when it comes to writing your story, instead of letting the world, instead of letting society, your friends and family write the chapters, how about you take the pen and you write your own?
Well, y'all heard it here. Please do follow Coach Jamal Vallair on all social media. Let him know that you heard him here on the Coach Cast Show. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and leave a 5-star review. And until next time, guys, keep loving, keep laughing, keep living.
Peace and blessings. Take care.